for you. Here we go, brownies. Here we go. Here we go, brownies. Here we go. Yeah, this for my dogs from the east to the west side. You rockin' brown and orange with me, baby. Let's ride. Represent the land, let them know. Tell them, here we go, brownies. Here we go. Yeah, here we go.
Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of the Here We Go Brownies podcast. I'm Allie Heisong, coming at you live from Sneads Ferry, North Carolina. Joined with me, as always, out in Boise, Idaho, we've got Dustin. Dustin, how's it going?
I'm good, Allie. I'm doing pretty good. My Browns won on Sunday.
Our Browns won on Sunday.
Yes, our Browns won on Sunday. But I can't get my college football team to buy a win, so maybe they can just play an FCS team this Saturday at 10 a.m. and maybe get a win. But no, all is well in Cleveland this week. The Browns, went into after Monday Night Football ranked number one statistically in defense. We got Pittsburgh this week. Everybody in Cleveland's on a high. Even the people that do all of the power rankings now have us in the top 10 or 11.
Yep.
Most of those power rankings had us at 18 or 19 before the season started. So, we kind of knew about the football team prior to the season starting. Now is starting to get some other people to come on the bandwagon. I'm okay with that. Come on the bandwagon. Just get on.
It's fun.
Yeah. We'll welcome you. We'll welcome you on. It's never too late to become a Browns fan. So come on it.
That's true. Since we last spoke, everybody, the Browns do place, right tackle Jack Conklin on injured reserve. We talked about that on our post-game show, that it was more likely than not season-ending ACL. He's out for the season. With that, they bring back Michael Dunn to the active roster from the practice squad. Another thing, this is not Browns related, but just injury, a horrible, horrible situation for Aaron Rodgers. That is just devastating. And man, I just can't think of anything like it with all the hype surrounding that team and surrounding that signing to go down within the first few snaps of the game. Man, that's brutal. That is absolutely brutal.
Yeah, and what do you do if you're the New York Jets, right? Like, that you invested a lot of money for that guy to be your guy moving forward for at least a year, if not two. And now, you don't know what to do, right? Like, it's kind of, that's been the big debate. Do they go out and get a free agent? Do they ride with, there's so many question marks now with his departure. And will he return ever? Will he retire? There's so many question marks with the Jets. And by the way, the Jets had so much promise. I had them as a playoff team with obviously Aaron Rodgers there. But, with risk comes, with injury and that kind of stuff, it happens. And at that age, man, when you have an injury like that, you don't know if you're going to come back. You're not 23, you're not 25, right? You're not in your 20s. That's a big injury to come back from at the, age of 40 plus. And what condition will your body be in a year from now when you've aged another year, right? Father time is not a friend to NFL players as they get older. So it'll be interesting to see what his decision will be come 6, 8, 12 months from now.
Well, because it's not like it's an ACL, right? And like what we see now in sports is these ACL recovery times are just tremendous, even just so much faster than what they were probably 2 or 3 years ago. And it's just, this is an Achilles. Like, that is just devastating for him and for that team. Look, I'm not, necessarily an Aaron Rodgers fan, but you feel for the guy. You feel for that team.
I feel for the Jets fans. I just feel for the Jets fans more than anything. Yeah.
Oh, it's brutal. That is absolutely brutal. So that's just too bad. Guys, we're going to kick it off here. We got a lot to cover. We are going to give you a full preview as we look ahead to Monday Night Football against the Pitts Puke Steelers. Before we get into it, I want to give a shout out to our friends over at K&D Property Group. Whether it is sophisticated suburban living, luxury downtown digs, or senior housing, K&D, the largest property management company in Northeast Ohio, has a perfect home for everyone. K&D is your one-stop shop for housing in the region with apartments and amenities for everyone, including residential, commercial, retail, and also corporate housing. Find your dream home at K&D. Visit knd.com to get started. That's the letter K, the word and, the letter D.com. Let's go back a little bit to the win over the Cincinnati Bengals in Week 1, and then we'll put that to bed and we'll look ahead to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Dustin, since we last spoke, on Sunday, we're really excited. There's a lot of promise. There's a lot of optimism surrounding your Cleveland Browns, and I still think there is. But having been able to kind of come down from that a little bit, what are some, just because that was such a positive show, and not that I want to talk strictly negative here, but I do want to be a little bit more critical than what we were on Sunday. Do you feel that there's any glaring holes or areas of concern, either offense, defensively, or special teams? Is there something that's maybe a concern for you that you saw in Week 1? Because I've got a few, having gone back and been able to watch some things, but I wanted to turn it over to your perspective on that.
Yeah, I would say for me would just be the timing and consistency with Deshaun Watson and the wide receiver cores. That's probably for me going to be the biggest thing that I want to see more consistency from, more catches, more not balls, sailing low, particularly, more the timing thing. And again, the weather obviously had some factor on that, but I just want to see more consistency out of the receiving core going into this game, and just a more smooth and crisp wide receiver group. And, the only other thing that obviously is a glaring one because of the injury on the offensive line is to see how Jones is going to do over at that position. That would be the only one. Do I think he can step up into this role? I do. I do think he's going to be capable. I do think he's going to learn on the fly. I don't think he'll be perfect overnight, but I do like the size that he brings to the offensive line at that position. And that's going to be one of those that I'm just going to look at not only this week, but the week after, and see how he does against top tier defensive competition in the National Football League.
Yeah, I want to come back to that here in a moment, just because I think that's a pretty big thing to discuss here. Is you've got a rookie right tackle, and while we like him a lot, that's a problem. You're going up against T.J. Watt. We'll talk about that here in a moment. Yeah. Mine that kind of stand out to me is one that you just mentioned, Dustin. Deshaun Watson, can he get his throws up? Can he connect with these receiver or pass catchers? Just because we did see a lot of passes hit the ground, but you don't know if that's weather, you don't know if that's rust, you don't know if that's jitters. So you want to see a cleaner game from him. Most importantly, this team starts and ends with Deshaun Watson. The future and success of this team, the core of it is Deshaun Watson and what he can do, right? A couple other things I want to see is the offensive line. I said this at the start of the season. It makes me a little bit nervous. I know fully that this is one of the better offensive lines in football. I won't shy away from that. But I do think that there is a problem at tackle. You have a little bit of concern, right, at right tackle with a rookie right tackle in DeJuan Jones, who I think is going to be great. But, still a rookie. But on the left side with Jedrick Wills, did not play his best game. And, this is kind of a do or die year for Jed Wills. He allowed 4 pressures in the game against Cincinnati up against Trey Hendrickson. He did not put on his best performance. So that is a pretty big area of concern for me as well. Deshaun Watson was he had some guys in his face on several plays because of the tackle play. I feel pretty comfortable with the interior of the offensive line. I feel great about it, actually. But the tackle situation does give me a little bit of pause. Going into the season, I think an area of concern for me was the linebackers. But I'll tell you what, if this defense can do consistently what it did in Week 1, now, let's be realistic here. They put on a hell of a performance. If they do that every single week, this is a Super Bowl team, no questions asked, right? Like, we understand as fans that that's not going to be the norm. Don't get me wrong, I'd love it if it was, but more likely than not, you are going to see some flaws in the defense. But let's not, forget the fact that Jim Schwartz had this defense ready to go. But I was concerned with the linebackers going into the season. I thought that there was a little bit of a depth issue. But given the talent, especially in the interior of the defensive line, and being able to stop the run, get after the passer, it allows your linebackers to be in position and respond and react rather than just kind of play with their hair on fire. So that hopefully I'm maybe I'll eat my words with that concern going into the start of the season, but Week 1 it looked good, but it's still a little bit of an area of concern for me.
Yeah, and like I said, hopefully that gets fixed, as the season moves on, obviously. But I think that was one thing that we were all worried about was the linebacking crew. But I tell you, they looked really good And I'm going to, bring some of that back to Schwartz, just having his guys in the right position, and really doing not something outside their comfort zone. And so I'm going to leave it to Schwartz and him just having his guys ready to play. And it was very interesting. I don't know if you were able to catch some of this, Allie, but some of Deshaun Watson's post game and even comments that he's made after the football game. And he even said, like, Schwartz is such a big piece of what we're going to be this year. And he said those defensive players are going to be there every week. And he's a no nonsense kind of guy. And those guys are going to, like you said, run through a brick wall for him. So even for Deshaun to say that on the offensive side of the ball about someone like Schwartz and how much effect he's had on the team says a lot about what they see and expect from that side of the ball. Because guess what? There are going to be some games this year where it's going to be tight, maybe a shootout here or there, where we're going to need that last defensive kind of, stand in a football game. And we're going to need to rely on those guys because, we play in the AFC North. No game is an easy out. We got some pretty tough non-conference opponents that we have to play this year. And based on what I saw from the Niners last week, that's going to be one hell of a tough out playing those guys. So,
Let's get into that here in just a second. Guys, if you don't have Stadium Mustard in your kitchen this season, you are doing it wrong. The iconic brand, the iconic taste, beloved from ballparks to backyards, and everywhere in between. Stadium Mustard is a smooth brown mustard, rich in both taste and tradition. It is loved by millions. So head on over to stadiummustard.com to shop now. I want to get back to the DeJuan Jones situation. Were you surprised at all? I wasn't, but I know that you made, the reason I'm bringing this up is on this show, some bold predictions. I said DeJuan Jones is going to play, I think it was like 30% of the starts.
The snaps.
Or forget what I said, but you were like, no, I think they'll actually go with James Hudson. I want to go back to that. Were you surprised that he didn't get the nod and they went with a rookie? What are your thoughts on that?
Yes and no. I mean, I see why they did that, but I don't know. Well, it'll be interesting to see, as the season progresses. But no, I'm not surprised. I mean, I leave that kind of more up on the coaching staff. They kind of see these guys day in and day out. Not what we see, but on the practice field. So I'm not terribly surprised by that.
Okay. Yeah, I was just curious. That was one thing. Actually, when I saw him go in, I said, interesting. I actually want to talk about this. I want to know what Dustin's thoughts were, just because you made that stand. You said, no, I think they pretty strongly, actually, they're going to go with James Hudson. That's going to be probably the way that they would go. And they didn't. And, we don't like to speculate, predict injuries, but because Jack Conklin has been so injury prone, there was, the conversation of, okay, what happens if he does end up getting injured this year? So do you have any, what's your preference? Would you prefer to see James Hudson out there, or are you like, holy crap, I guess let's go with the rookie? What do you think?
At this point, I would rather go with the rookie. And the only reason I say that is you don't draft that guy not to at some point be possibly a starter, right? Obviously, you draft him to be a developmental. You can say the same thing about James Hudson. Yeah. Right, but I'm saying, a development player like that. But here's the truth. Just the fact of his sheer size and strength, I think, gives him kind of the nod in a lot of ways, because he goes up against, and what I mean by that is, and what I mean, like, a guy like his size is so massive. And I was like watching that, and my friends were watching on the TV. They're like, that guy looks massive out there. I'm like, yeah, because he is massive, right? He takes up a lot of space. And the reason I like somebody like that is there are a lot of, like you said, Watt, and a lot of very talented defensive ends in the National Football League. Thank God we have one on our end, and we don't have to go up against Myles Garrett, and stuff like that. But I think having someone of that size and stature could play dividends as he gets more experience throughout the season. I think that could be a big deal, and he gains more and more confidence, because let's look back, Allie. He played such a clean and great preseason, right? Like, he had a great preseason. So he went out there in the preseason and just balled out, right? And showed everybody, like, hey, I belong, right? And I think because of the play he had in his preseason and what the coaches were seeing from him, we're like, no, we're going with him, right? Like we have confidence that he can go out there, even though he's a rookie. We feel like he can go out there and do that for us. And I think that, based on his play and the way he showed what he could do in the preseason, actually boded well for him entering that football game on Sunday.
Yeah. And you know what else makes me feel pretty good about it is what Joe Thomas, friend of the program, has said about his optimism surrounding DeJuan Jones. He had an interview with Cleveland.com, but where he talked about how impressed he was, the performance that he put together in preseason and the training camp, and to be able to step into this role. But also did a quote tweet talking about the technique that he saw from DeJuan Jones, firm inside hand, great feet balance, never leans on outside hand, but uses it to punch. You feel pretty good about that. I'm excited about it. Look, I think that you're losing. Jack Conklin doesn't get enough credit for what he does, especially in the run game. I think that you're going to get probably a really, I don't want to say that there's going to be a huge gap in pass blocking with DeJuan Jones, but certainly in the run game, Jack Conklin's one of the best in the National Football League, just period, point blank. He's very underrated in that regard. But for DeJuan Jones to step in and you didn't hear his name, that's a good thing. Right. Like kicker, we don't want to have a podcast about a kicker. We don't want to have a podcast about the left tackle. Those are players that you just don't want to hear from. If you don't hear their name, it's certainly a good thing. I am excited to see him, especially in this matchup going up against TJ Watt. So let's get into the matchup. This matchup breakdown, or preview rather, is brought to you by our friends over at Circle K. Let's have
Circle K is a touchdown for all your tailgating needs. Pick up grab-and-go sandwiches, snacks, drinks, and so much more for your pregame activities. Don't forget to grab a Polar Pop cup and fill it to the brim with Nugget Ice and your favorite flavor, including Circle K exclusive Mountain Dew Purple Thunder. Or mix it up to create your own. Fuel your day at Circle K with high-quality fuel. While you're there, sign up for Easy Pay and start saving 30 cents per gallon on fuel. Here we go, Brownies. Only at Circle K.
All right, let's get into it. Let's have a conversation about this matchup against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Look, guys, what do we know about Pittsburgh? Dustin, they are a winning team. Even when they're bad, they're still good for the most part. However, if you watch that game against San Francisco 49ers at all whatsoever, and I like what I'm hearing, I think David might be bringing me a fresh Killer Miller, and he is. Everybody needs to get themselves a David. Here's the thing about the Pittsburgh Steelers. Their culture, they've got a winning culture. You can only say that about a handful of teams in the National Football League. And even when things aren't going their way, they can still find ways to do things. So this is a team that can and will beat you, even though I don't think that they are nearly as talented as your Cleveland Browns. So let's talk about that matchup. Offensively, they do have some skill. They've got Najee Harris, who I don't really like. I don't think he's that great of a running back, but he can still burn you in a lot of ways. They've got George Pickens, who, really good young receiver. They're going to miss Deontay Johnson, who's a Pro Bowler in 2021, and he has been the leading receiver each of the last 2 seasons. So they're certainly going to miss having Deontay Johnson out there, but they still have really skilled pass catchers. So I've mentioned George Pickens. In the game against San Francisco, he had 7 targets, 5 catches, but the longest he had on the day was 9 yards. Wow. They aren't able to get the ball down the field. You can blame some of that on Kenny Pickett, right? I want to pull up his stats here. Give me 1 second. That way I can make sure that I'm reading this accurately. But ultimately, their offense just didn't look good against San Francisco. They've got Darnell Washington as a blocking tight end. You throw Allen Robinson in the mix in the pass catchers. He's got experience. Kenny Pickett in this game, he was sacked 5 times. He's not a mobile quarterback, even though a lot of people kind of perceive him to be one. I think if you take a look at the matchup between their offensive line and our defensive line, you could really have this young quarterback scrambling, he could really, really get to him. Against San Francisco, he was 31 of 46 for 232, 1 touchdown and 2 interceptions. His longest on the day was 31 yards. He was sacked 5 times. Quarterback rating of 68.4 with a QBR of 23.8. Not a good game. This isn't a good offense, especially missing Deontay Johnson, who is quite a downfield threat. Offensively, a little anemic, but that's who they were last year. But they were still able to win a lot of games. And this is an offense that can and will beat you if you give them the opportunity. If the Browns defense goes in even at all, a little lackadaisical, they're going to take advantage of that. So have to be on point, ready to go in prime time on Monday Night Football. Turning it over to the defensive side of the ball, what do we know about them? They're dangerous. They've got one of the better defenses in the National Football League, especially up front, especially with TJ Watt. But they are down Cam Hayward, so that is a huge blow to them. But opposite of TJ Watt, they've got Alex Highsmith. Technically, he's a linebacker, but they line him up on the line. Watt has had 11 and a half sacks against the Browns alone in his career. 11 and a half sacks alone against the Cleveland Browns. So he's pretty darn good. We know that. And he'll be going up against the rookie in DeJuan Jones. So a little bit nervous there, but I think it's a really good opportunity to see what we have in our 4th round draft pick out of Ohio State, DeJuan Jones. In their secondary, they've got some new pieces. They've got Keanu Neal. He's kind of their third safety. They did play a lot of big nickel, so 3 safeties on the field. They've got the rookie Joey Porter Jr. He only played 7 snaps, which I think was a little bit surprising against the 49ers. And then their two main corners, they've got Levi Wallace, they've got Patrick Peterson. Patrick Peterson, I thought was interesting. He goes on a podcast last week before the matchup against the 49ers. He says, look, they've got tails in their offense. I'm going to pick off Brock Purdy. And that didn't happen. So they do talk a little bit of a big game, but they're pretty formidable. They've got talent. You know that they've got TJ Watt. You know who Minka Fitzpatrick is. You know these names. You know that they've got some star power. But you can certainly test the secondary. This isn't the Pittsburgh Steelers of a few years ago. You can run the ball on them. You do have to keep an eye out on Larry Ogunjobi. He had 4 pressures in the opening matchup. Had a sack and a half last year against the Browns. So they've got the talent. They've got the pieces. This is a team with a winning culture. They can and will beat you. But ultimately, when it comes down to it, your Cleveland Browns are much, much better on paper. They just have to go out and execute.
So, Allie, riddle me this, because we've been in this situation before. Do you feel, and I kind of feel this way now after watching more of that actual Niners-Pittsburgh game, there were so many people high on the Steelers this year. And I mean high, like they were going to be, they're back. The Steelers are back. They're going to win the division. I mean, and I kept hearing this and I kept scratching my head like
the preseason darlings.
Yeah, like don't you think they were like, everybody had them number 1 and they were going to beat out the Bengals? And I'm like, huh? Like, where is this coming from? And I just thought that was kind of odd that there was all these, and I relate it to a few years back. Remember when we made the cover of Sports Illustrated and the Browns are back and they're the darlings and Odell Beckham Jr. is going to light up. But don't you kind of feel like they were the one that had kind of the spotlight on them in the preseason and everybody was ready to jump on the bandwagon and say the Steelers were back? And like you said, I see them as a mediocre team. I don't see them as a great team, but a terrible team. But I see them more of a 500 team. And I'm just a little surprised by the hype that they got. I just don't know where it came from and why. And I guess it's maybe because of Pickett's play at the end of the season last year, but I just don't get it. So.
Yeah. One thing I do want to mention, just off the top here, I just saw a bunch of texts from everybody mentioning that my video might be lagging a little bit. I do apologize. It is pouring here. We are getting a storm. So if that is affecting the audio or video here, I do apologize, but maybe I can go back and make some edits. So bear with me. I apologize for that off the top. But Dustin, in this matchup, what are you looking forward to seeing the most? I've got a couple. I really love our receivers against their corners, especially. You are going to see a lot of heavy nickel out of them. They're going to play that a lot. But I think that creates some mismatches, if you will, especially with our pass catcher. So I think that you could have a big game out of somebody like David Njoku. You could have a big game with Amari Cooper, Elijah Moore, another one who can be very elusive out of the backfield. What matchups are you really looking forward to?
Well, here's the thing that I'm looking forward to is the offensive line play. And I guess where I'm going with the offensive line play is I looked at the weather. It's supposed to be somewhat rainy, partly cloudy at times. So we're looking at a game low 70s again in Pittsburgh, similar maybe to the Browns game this last Sunday. So for me, I'm looking to the offensive line in this game, and can they have their way with Hayward being out, and can Jones handle Watt and be able to create those lanes for folks like Nick Chubb in this game? That's where I think, to me, I'm going to know in probably the first or 2 or 3 possessions in this football game who's going to win the line of scrimmage and who's going to have their way in this football game. So for me, I'm going to be looking at that line of scrimmage and go, okay, can the offensive line give Deshaun Watson time in this football game to develop the plays and get Nick Chubb open in the backfield for a catch or a run, and see what we can do with Nick Chubb to kind of start this offense going? But that's where I'm going to be that's going to be one of the things I'm going to be looking early on in this football game.
Yeah, another thing too is I want to see what we are going to get out of Jerome Ford. I think that having that fumble early on in week 1, that can do a lot to you mentally, and just the reps that you're going to get during that game. And I'm excited to see him in a different type of role than what we're used to seeing in like running back 2 with like somebody like Kareem Hunt, because it's going to be vastly different. I did see a couple plays, especially in pass blocking snaps, where he just obliterated a couple guys. So I think you really have something here with Jerome Ford. We just need to be a little bit patient with him as a player, because he's not Nick Chubb. He's not Kareem Hunt. He's not going to be.
Right.
This is still a really young player, but I'm excited to see him and the snaps that he gets, especially on 3rd down in the red zone, if he is going to be more of a power guy, if he's going to be a little bit more elusive, because we know his pass catching abilities out of the backfield. And I'm also excited to see the creativity in this game. This is a really good Pittsburgh Steelers defense. And I gave credit on the post-game show to Kevin Stefanski and his play calling. Does that translate? Can we continue to see that? Is that an upwards trend? Are we going to be creative? Are we going to be dynamic? And are we going to put the ball in the hands of our playmakers and not get conservative? So I think that that's something that I'm also really looking forward to seeing.
Yeah, I mean, do we open the offense more too, right, in this football game based on the way the weather conditions were in Cleveland? And I apologize, I said Sunday. The game is actually on Monday Night Football, obviously. But, if the weather clears and it is a nice weather, can we open that offense up, right, and show more of what Deshaun Watson's available to do with some time? So I don't know. It'll be interesting. I'm looking forward to this game. I got to tell you, Allie, I've been talking to some folks in Cleveland. I mean, I'm not putting the cart in front of the horse, but if the Browns win the football game and then we go into next week and we go 2-0, 3-0, if this football team starts rolling, Allie, it's going to be insane. Like, I don't think – here's the thing that people were saying. Browns fans don't know what to do with themselves if the Browns start winning multiple games in a row and start out the season great, because they've like winning cultures and losing cultures. It's like, what do? We're just winning football games, right? So it'll be interesting to see how the city handles winning football. But no, I think Cleveland's got something cooking here. I think the NFL knows the Browns got something cooking here. And I think they just need to consistently, like you said, if they can do 80%, 70% what they did on Sunday against the Bengals, again, against an elite quarterback, let me say that again, against an elite quarterback, they did that. If they can do that against a second-year guy, man, I think we're going to see a defense that could be pretty special by the end of this season. That could be something to be proud to be watching, as the season goes on, because I think this unit's just going to get more confident, Allie. I think they're going to get more confident, and they're going to get more confident with their plays as the season goes on. Yeah,
most definitely. Dustin, let's go ahead and do something real quick. I'm actually going to dismiss myself from the stream. If you can tell our listeners about Lorello Vineyards and what they've got going on there, I'm actually going to connect to my hotspot just with the rain and everything. And we've got some buffering. So if you can just give me one moment here, if you don't mind telling our listeners about Lorello.
So folks, if you haven't tried Lorello Vineyards, you have to, by the way. Here we go, Brownies Wine. This is a great, great item that we collaborated with the Lorello family with. $2 of each bottle goes back to the actual Greater Cleveland Food Bank. So that is super cool that we're doing that. And by the way, they have all these other different wines. Like obviously they have this great white wines, red wines, but guys, go out there, see them in Geneva, go out there and visit. If you don't ever have that opportunity, go out and visit them. But if you want to order it and you can't physically get there, go to LorelloVineyards.com to order your wine. Go ahead, Allie, take it away.
There we go. I think I might be back. Let's see how this goes. Again, everybody, I apologize. We've got a little bit of weather here in North Carolina, so hopefully this is a little bit better. I went ahead and connected to my hotspot. But yeah, Dustin, I agree. Get your hands on some Lorello wine because nobody does it like Larry does. Truly some of the best in the business. With that,
and I was going to tell you, Allie, I spoke with them today, and they told me your mother ordered some Lorello Vineyard wine and is being sent out to Ohio, and they put an extra bottle in there for your fundraiser. They told me so.
Yes,
you are good
we
to
got
go.
a little Here We Go Brownies podcast basket happening for my alma mater. So excited to put that together. With that, let's go ahead and bring our good friends over at the Cleveland Furniture Company onto the pod tonight. We've got Paul and Jason. Paul, Jason, how's it going, guys?
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
Great.
Thanks for taking the time. This is
How
exciting.
are you?
This is great. I love talking Browns in Cleveland.
So, Paul, first and foremost, we weren't there on Sunday. I think both of you attended the football game on Sunday. Is that correct? Did you guys both go to the game on Sunday?
No, I was in North Carolina. I was down looking at some factories that were showing some product, and I had to listen to the game, and it was great. It was great to follow it that way, and to be, when you're listening to it, you're shielded from some information. You're not getting everything, not seeing it, and it was a great game to listen to.
And Jason, did you go to the game on Sunday?
No, I did not. But I'm going October 1st against the Ravens. I'm taking my 9-year-old daughter to her first Browns game, so I'm really excited.
Oh, that's gonna be great.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that. They're all in. My daughter Camilla, my daughter Penny, they are all in, and they got the Chubb jerseys, the Myles Garrett jerseys. They love watching the games with me, so it's great.
That's so exciting. I know one of my favorite memory, even as an adult, is going to Browns games with my dad. Like that is just some of the best stuff out there. There's nothing like it. There's absolutely nothing like it. But guys, I'll turn it over to you. New proud sponsor of the Here We Go Brownies podcast. Tell us a little bit more about what you got going on.
Well, hey Jay, we went to a legendary game with our dad, and it was against the Packers.
Paulie, I can't see your face, buddy.
You can't see me? What? Oh, sorry. Hello. Can you guys? Is that better? Or
I can see it. Yeah,
that's good. That's good.
That's
better.
There you go. Sorry. So anyway, Jay, you were there. It was you, me, and Dad, and it was against the Packers. It was crazy cold. Like your breath would freeze, and Leroy Horde was on his back in the end zone and caught a tip ball for a touchdown.
What? I think that was Paulie. That was the Oilers.
No, Packers.
It was Packers.
Trust me.
Okay.
It was the Packers. It was the Packers. I can remember.
Our dad took us to a lot of the games at Municipal Stadium, and that
was an awesome game to be at.
The best. Yeah. But what's going on, Dustin? To answer your question, we're celebrating our 5th location at our Brunswick store. So 5 stores in the last 6 years. We opened our Brunswick location right on Center Road Labor Day weekend, and we're still running the grand opening sale throughout the month of September. So everyone's going to get you're not paying retail prices at all. You're getting some really, really good deals right now, and we always have good deals going on. But our goal is to treat customers to the best with, like family, welcome in with open arms and give them the best price around. My brother and I, born and raised in Cleveland, and we know what the people of Northeast Ohio want, what they're looking for. So it's a lot of fun.
Well, as I say, Jason, we're excited to be a partnership with you. Like I said, obviously we're going to do some fun stuff as the season goes on. We're going to give away a recliner or something to our listeners. Obviously team up possibly with the Greater Cleveland Food Bank and do some fun things with those guys. But I was going to tell you, Jason, I'm actually coming in October 1st for that Ravens game. So we'll have to hook up, do some tailgating. I have a lot of pressure on me. I don't think Allie knows this yet. But Larry Lorello, who has the bus, the big bus with the dog face on it. Yeah. He is leaving town. And he literally said to me, you have to be the man and you're in charge of the bus. That seems like a lot of responsibility.
It's a big deal.
To be in charge.
That's a big deal.
That is a lot of responsibility. And Allie knows what I mean with taking over that bus. That's a lot of responsibility. So I'm inviting all of Cleveland to come down, come to the Muni lot, enjoy, come down and hang out with us for that October 1st game. That'll be a lot of fun. Jason, you've probably seen the bus down there, the two ones that you come into the Muni lot.
I've been that Muni. Yeah, I go to all the lots, not just the Muni lot. I go to the Muni lot, but there's a lot of other lots surrounding that too, and on the other side that we like to go to. I think there's one on West 3rd, but there's some really good ones.
Jay, what's that one by right by like the shipping docks? That's a good one.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that one is called.
Especially when the weather's real bad. Like the wind comes in whipping in, and it's just like you got to be hard.
That's what it's all about.
It's right. I love it.
I love it. So I'm excited about this Browns team, guys. I mean that defense. If we can do that against Cincinnati and Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow's a great quarterback. He didn't look great, and I think a lot of that was because of our defensive line and the way Schwartz is moving everybody around, especially Myles Garrett. I mean, it's a dangerous.
May the Schwartz be with you.
May the Schwartz be with you. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it really is. It's such an exciting team, especially defensively. And look, I think as fans, we can know and understand that, they're not going to be that every single week, because if they do, I mean, they're rivaling, the 85 Bears, because that is just insane if they can continue that output every single solitary week. But at the end of the day, this is a damn good roster with high-end talent, but in addition to that, high-end depth. If you get the right guys in place on the coaching staff to really scheme this up and put these guys in a position to win, man, you're looking at a really, really just dangerous football team.
Oh, I agree, and I think the last 2 years we were missing. Unfortunately, we were missing that coaching on the defense, and I think what Schwartz just showed everybody in the first game is what we've been looking for as Cleveland fans for a long time, because we knew we had the talent. And I love the new additions to our defensive line too, to complement Myles.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a phenomenal defensive
it's great
line.
and they're unleashing. He's unleashing the talent. It felt like it's so many times that we had this ferocious talent that they wouldn't unleash it fully or something, like Grant Delpit. I mean, he seems to be flourishing, and that's like signing an all-star, right? Compared to the way he was, I think, limited last year.
And having Walker back too is huge. I mean, he's such a leader. When he got hurt last year, it changed everything. But this year, having him healthy and being a leader on that defense, I'm really excited. Ward's going to do his thing. Yeah, Grant Delpit, he had a great game.
I tell you what, we're set up good. You go into Pittsburgh, you run the ball. You have one of the best running backs that I've ever seen play, Nick Chubb. He's that good. He's that good. And you run the ball with him. Your defensive line is incredible. Keep the pressure on, and don't let Pickett or whoever, don't let them get any rhythm at all. And they don't deserve it.
Well, what I was going to say,
I get him and the receiver confused.
Pickett. I know it's confusing.
So Allie,
I get those guys confused.
Yeah. So Allie, I don't know if you saw this because you're a big fan of basketball. You played basketball in high school, but did you see that kind of swooping Myles Garrett doing the basketball move?
Yeah, he's doing the crossover. Ghost crossover. Doing the crossover. I will tell you what, if I was on the offensive line, or if, I am the quarterback and I see Myles Garrett coming at me like that, first off, if I see Myles Garrett coming at me like that anyways, I'm just going to fall over and drop dead because I couldn't imagine. But if he is doing a crossover before he gets after me, immediate timeout. Are you kidding me? That's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
So when I saw that, when I saw him doing that, it reminded me a lot of myself back in the day,
Yeah,
right. Just at least that's what I pictured.
That's what you pictured yourself,
yeah,
right? Yeah,
correct. Oh yeah,
Allie. I was listening to you guys before we got on, and you were talking about Jerome Ford and his fumble. And you know what? I actually think that having that fumble happen early in the game and in the first game was the best thing that happened to him, because man, he was holding on to that ball for dear life after that. And I think that's just a valuable lesson. I think going forward, we're going to see. Hopefully, we won't see too much of that. I think he's really going to do a good job.
Do you know what that reminded me of? Was, gosh, when did Kareem Hunt come out of his rookie year in Kansas City? He was known at Toledo for not fumbling the ball. Like, that was his pride and joy. That's what he did. He didn't turn the ball over. First, I don't remember exactly how it was, but maybe the first series of the game, he fumbles it, and he's just absolutely devastated. And comes back to have not only the season, but the career that he did. I think that you're right. Getting that out early is a good thing. We could afford it at that point in time,
right? Rather
than at a devastating point in either the career or in a game or in the season. Absolutely agree with that.
Yeah. So I just, and Nick Chubb is, like Paul said, he's the best. I mean, that guy he embodies everything that Cleveland is about. Hands the ball back to the ref after he scores a touchdown. He just gets to work and does the job. And he's got to be Cleveland's favorite. I mean, we love all of our players, but Nick Chubb, he's something special, man.
Well, yeah, yes, he is. And I'll tell you something though. When I think it was Wyatt Teller, he had a linebacker 24 yards deep on a block. And that is, when we watch the Browns do that kind of stuff, that's what makes us try harder at work for our customers. I hate to say that, but it's just like, that's part of it's like wired into us. Like, the Browns have an impact on how I'm going to feel each week. And like, so when they play that like that, I'm a world beater. We're probably a better company when they win. So keep going.
Right? We're all happy when they win.
Yeah. Well, we talk about that after the Browns win on a Sunday, the mood in Cleveland, like what it's like on a Monday. It's true. Like, it is so true. I agree with that.
Positive, business is better. Everyone's happy. It's a whole different ballgame. We haven't had a lot of those in the past 20 some years.
Right. No, and I'll tell you, just even talking to my family before kickoff, I'm like, man, I'm excited because I love football. I love the Cleveland Browns, but also I had this pit in my stomach of, oh God, here we go again. I am going to let this football team determine my mood for half the week, no matter what happens here. But it's just so nice coming out on the winning end of it. It's just not something that we're used to. And I think as fans that we need to, a lot of us, and probably us included, Dustin, is get rid of some of that losing mentality and get rid of that negativity. Because if we preach having a winning culture as fans, I think we need to embody that as well.
Yeah, expect to win. Expect to win.
Yeah.
Well, I think Myles Garrett just came out to say he wanted to change the narrative to Cleveland is Cleveland. He wanted to make it, it's Cleveland is Cleveland. That's right. We're tough, and we're going to punch you in your mouth, and it's just great.
And Jay, how about else? Myles Garrett, he likes dinosaurs, and we have Tyrannosaurus Rex skulls in our showrooms.
We
do. Because I like dinosaurs a lot too, so I picked up on that.
I'm just, I just saw somebody say no more Debbie Downers. I don't like the Debbie Downers. You got to stay positive with this team. Win or lose. I love the Browns no matter what, and it's just we got to stay positive, and I think sometimes people can really be critical of the Browns because of the losing since 1999. But man, I tell you, I love this team, and we got some great things headed our way. We really do.
Completely agree. Guys, I will get you out of here on this one. What is your recipe for a win? What do the Browns have to do to beat Pittsburgh on Monday Night Football?
Oh, so easy. Establish the running game and also pressure with the defensive line. And you can play man with our great D-backs. And you'll win the game.
Yeah, I mean, we got a second-year quarterback we're going up against in Kenny Pickett, and I think that if we go after him like we did Joe Burrow, and attack and move our guys around on defense and just get in his face as much as we can, like Paul said, our defensive backfield is great, and just play old school Cleveland Browns football, run the ball, pass the ball effectively. I'd love to see some more screen passes to Nick Chubb. I feel like every time we throw a screen pass to Chubb, it's 20, 25 yards automatically. So
he's so good.
I'd love to see that a little bit more. But yeah, I mean, just keep giving the ball to Chubb and work some play action.
Hey, and also you gotta stretch that deep. I mean, they need to go deep. We got some speed, and
I don't know how if it's going to be raining and windy again. It's I mean, we're a run first team, so let's continue that. So, but if we could pass the ball effectively, it'd be great.
Yeah, you can certainly test these corners. This isn't the Pittsburgh Steelers of a couple of years ago. This is still a really good defense. They've got some stars, but ultimately, I think you can run on them and you can throw on them. Let's do it early and let's do it often. That's Jason, right. Paul, thanks for taking the time. This was a lot of fun to talk to you.
Dustin, Allie, thank you so much for having us. This is great. Go Browns.
Thanks very much.
Go Browns.
Go Browns.
Go Browns. That is Paul and Jason over at Cleveland Furniture Company. Guys, if you are in the market for, I heard Jason say it here in the comments. He needs a new recliner. Why don't you head on over to one of their locations? Sounds like one of those two guys will hook you up, or one of the dinosaur heads. They've got those there in the store too. Dustin, I'll turn it over to you. Give me your recipe for success. How do the Browns win on Monday?
Well, win in all four phases of the game, right? Offense, defense, special, or all three phases. I mean, I think you have to win on all three phases of the football game, right? Like, I think the special teams did what they had to this last Sunday. I was very happy to see that. And I think just win where you can win, right? Like, if they're going to let you run. If they're not going to let you run, have a more well-balanced attack, but just play to your strength, I think, is the recipe for this win on Monday Night Football. Just play to your strengths. Lean on your defensive line to put pressure on Pickett, and just play to your strengths. And I think the Browns probably win by 10. If I had to make a prediction in this football game, I think the Browns win by 10. And I do think they're going to put some pressure on. And really, I guess the biggest recipe for me is time of possession in this football game. Really own the time of possession, make this game more one-dimensional, and own the clock in this game. And I think you can get out of Pittsburgh and head back 90 miles down on I-90 and get back to Cleveland.
Yeah, I think for me, it is make Kenny Pickett throw the ball, right? It's not something that,
yes.
that I think that they can do at a consistent level, right? You're out Deontay Johnson. You have to rely on your skill position players being Najee Harris. They also have Jalen Warren, who's pretty good too. They've got Allen Robinson. They've got George Pickens. They've got Calvin Austin. I'll go through some stats here in a minute. But like I said, Kenny Pickett last week was 31 of 46, 232. He was sacked 5 times on the day, 1 touchdown to 2 interceptions. Not a good day out of the second-year quarterback, Kenny Pickett. Najee Harris, I mentioned that off the top. He is a running back he's got some skill, he's got some talent, but he's a short yardage type of guy. He's not going to bust it open like Nick Chubb's going to. I don't think he's even going to do like what Jerome Ford can do at this point, especially behind a relatively suspect offensive line. Najee Harris last week, 6 carries for 31 yards, averaging 5.2 a carry. The only reason that he's got 5.2 a carry is because he had that one long run of 24 yards. Outside of that, I think you're looking at maybe 2-3 yards an attempt or per carry. I just don't think that you have an absolute game wrecker in Najee Harris. So make their offense beat you. I really just think our defense is significantly better than what their offense can produce. And if you can rely on the defense once again, like you did against Cincinnati, man, you come away feeling pretty good about that. Offensively, obviously, Dustin, you mentioned it. You have to control the clock, win the turnover battle. I think you can say that every single week. So I think we as podcasters need to do a better job of when we come on and give our keys to a victory, keeping that out of it, because I think that's obvious. If you win the turnover battle and you control the clock, you're going to win the football game. So specifically, how do they win? Deshaun Watson has to be clean. He has to play a clean game. We can't have any more of those throws hitting the ground before they even get within 5 yards of a receiver. That can't happen. David Njoku needs more opportunities. I think that he needs to get in early and often as well. I think Jason mentioned some screens to Nick Chubb. How about a couple tight end screens to David Njoku? Wouldn't mind seeing that. We've got the blockers. We've got the skill position players to make that happen.
Yeah.
We have the speed. Nick Chubb doing what Nick Chubb does. But the pass catchers have to be on point. No drops. We can't have any of that. We can't turn the ball over. But I think if the offense can just hit on those opportunities that we saw last week, like I said, Kevin Stefanski, flat out, he can scheme guys open. It's up to the players to execute. So I think that really comes down to it. If the defense can even be a shadow of what they were last week, you come away winning this game probably pretty comfortably.
Yeah, and Al, you brought up a good point about make them throw a lot. As we know, if you look at stats of a quarterback having to throw 40, 45 plus passes a game, that means they're probably playing from behind, right? So for me, like you said in this game, is get an early lead, go up 7, 10, 14 to nothing, because once you do that, you are going to force them to pass the ball and play catch up. So I think for me, the key to victory in this game is making them play catch up in this game, get an early lead on them, and force them to be more of a one-dimensional football team. Because you do that, to your point, Allie, he is going to have to pass a lot and play catch up in a football game, and that always bodes well for our defense in a situation like that.
One more thing on their defense, as you know, that Cam Hayward is not going to be in the game here, but I do want to highlight this. This is the first time since 2016 that Cam Hayward has missed a game due to injury. So he has been really consistent in that regard. So I think that's kind of going under the radar right now of, national headlines. That's a huge loss for them. Losing Cam Hayward is a massive loss for the Pittsburgh Steelers and the defense specifically in what they like to do. Because honestly, without him, I'm throwing a couple extra bodies at TJ Watt every single snap. Every single snap, whether it's tight end or running back chips, you make that happen on every single play of the game. You can afford to have a little bit more flexibility with that. So that works out well for your Cleveland Browns. Deontay Johnson on the offensive side of the ball being out, two things that really help your Cleveland Browns in this situation. Dustin, why don't you tell our listeners about Cleveland whiskey?
Well, guys, if you haven't had Cleveland whiskey, you should get some at one of your local Ohio liquor stores. They have the peanut butter chocolate, which is a great favorite for everybody. And then also they have the Cleveland Underground and many other flavors that you can get. Check them out at clevelandwhiskey.com to look at all of their different flavors and stuff that they have. And then, of course, so they are literally starting to make the ale that everybody loves in the Cleveland area. That is that limited edition, more spiced whiskey that comes out during Christmas time. That'll be coming out. But go and try some of that Cleveland whiskey. I have some in my cabinet. It's amazing. It was a hit at the tailgate. Even though my college football team lost on Saturday, Cleveland whiskey was a hit. So,
there you go.
As we used to say, Allie, when the Browns weren't winning, what were we always undefeated at? Tailgates, right?
Drinking.
So yeah, get some of that. And Allie, why don't we tell a little people about our cruise that we're going to be doing here in March? If you want to tell our folks a little bit about that cruise that'll be coming up.
Let's have a quick listen.
Browns fans, pack your bags for the ultimate dog pound at sea party on the amazing Independence of the Seas in March of 2024 as we embark on a 5-day all-inclusive Caribbean cruise. Spend time with your favorite Browns alumni like Josh Cribbs, Eric Metcalf, Webster Slaughter, and many more. Presented by Seaside Events. Cabins are selling fast, so book yours now. Visit BrownsFanCruise.com or call 216-284-6472 today.
There you have it. Sounds pretty fun to me. Dustin, you know what time it is. It is time to make some picks. You'll be pleased to know that you did beat me last week in our picks. I made a couple of bold predictions that didn't work out for me. So let's get into it. Tomorrow night, Vikings at Eagles. What are you doing?
Oh, well, I did not expect the Vikings to lose. I can tell you that much.
Nope.
This last did not see that one coming, folks. So, but the Eagles are the Eagles, so I'm going to go Eagles, Allie.
I agree. I'm going to go Eagles. I'm going to go with the Eagles. Let's go Ravens at Bengals. Who you got?
Wow, that's such a, I'm going to say since he comes back, they bounce back, and I do think the division gets a little tight here. I'm going to go Bengals on this one. They're going to be at home, and they're going to win in a close game against the Ravens.
I agree entirely. I think especially if you heard Joe Burrow's press availability after the game, he's like, we're not defined by our week one. I think they come back actually, and I don't think it's going to be close. I think Bengals by a lot in their home opener. Seahawks at Lions.
Well, Seahawks lost. Lions are for real.
Yep.
I'm going to go, I'm on the Lions bus. I think the Lions make the playoffs this year. I'm going to go with the Lions. Is this the Lions home opener, by the way? Is this their home opener?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to go Lions for their home opener.
I'm going Lions. I'm going Lions here too. Especially, I think that the Seahawks are pretty good, but having to come across the country like that, give me the Lions here as well. Colts at Texans. Ugh.
Jeez, my goodness. You know what? Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go Colts. I'm going to go Colts because the Colts seem to have a little bit of something cooking. I don't know what.
Yeah.
I don't think the Texans are that good. I'm going to go Colts.
I'm going to go Colts here too, but like not by a lot. Bears at Bucks.
Bears at Bucks. So this is the home opener. Baker Mayfield winning on the road. That was interesting. I'm gonna go Bucks. I'm gonna go Bucks here.
Okay. This is where I am gonna take. I'm gonna go with the Bears on this one. I think the Bears are. They've got some firepower. I think that they've got some excitement around them. I don't think they're like a great team, but I think that they've got some hope. And I think that the Bucks are probably gonna. We know how it goes with Baker Mayfield, right? He comes out and he does something like that, but then the next week it dies pretty quickly. So just because of that, because we know this player, I am going to go with Justin Fields and the Bears. Chiefs at Jags. Who you got?
Is Travis Kelce still going to be out? Do we know?
No, we don't know. He is at practice this week.
He is at practice? Okay. So he's okay. We don't know if he's going to be back. Here's the thing. Man, that's going to be a tough game. That's going to be a good game to watch, actually. Chiefs and Jags. That's going to be a great football game to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Especially in Jacksonville, that could be a pretty evenly match. You know, the Jags played them in the playoffs last year. I don't know why, but I'm going.
Are you going crazy?
I'm going freaking Jags on this, and the reason I'm going Jags is the Jags have a little bit of revenge on their mind after that playoff loss close last year. I don't think Travis Kelce is 100%. I'm going with Jags for their home opener.
Okay, I think that's fair. I think this is going to be a much closer game than what we think. But I'm going to go with the Chiefs. Packers at Falcons.
Packers look really good. Packers look really, really good. I'm going to go Packers here. I feel confident about that.
What do I want to do? This is one I actually just genuinely don't know. Two quarterbacks that I just don't love, and
you don't love?
I don't. Gross. I think I agree with you. Let's go Packers. Raiders at Bills.
I do believe the Raiders come down back to earth, and Josh Allen had a horrendous football game. Horrible. With what, four turnovers, something like that. I'm going to go with it was hot garbage. I'm going to go with the Bills.
Yep. I am also going to go with the Bills here. I think he comes back in a really big way. Chargers at Titans.
Chargers at Titans. I'm going to go. Did the Titans win last week?
You know what?
Did the Titans win?
I don't know off the top of my head.
I feel like they did, but maybe I'm wrong.
No, the Saints won.
I really think the Chargers really need to come. I'm going to go Chargers in this game. I don't know why, but I like the Chargers in this game.
I do
even
too.
though they're
like
having
the
to travel.
So what? I think that the Chargers are a really good football team, top to bottom roster and depth. I just don't think they get enough credit, but I also think they kind of choke a lot. But I think that this is a game that they win comfortably. 49ers at Rams.
49ers.
Yeah, 49ers. They're legit. Giants at Cardinals.
This is where I think the Cardinals come back down to life, and I think the Giants really need to win this game, and they got kind of shell-shocked against the Cowboys. I'm going to go with the Giants.
I'm going Giants here. Jets at Cowboys.
Well, no, I know how that's going to turn out. That's going to be ugly. Cowboys.
Mm-hmm. Cowboys. If Aaron Rodgers was playing, I think I'd go the other way, but I'm going Cowboys on this one. Commanders at Broncos.
This is an interesting matchup. Man, I just don't see a lot of offense coming out of. It's at Denver, though.
It's in Denver, yeah.
Yeah, here's where here they didn't put up a lot of offense, that being Denver. They are home. This is going to be a big deal for them. I'm going to go Denver just by a squeaker.
Yeah, I'm going Denver here too. I don't think the Commanders are all that great. Don't like the quarterback situation, so I'm going to go with the Broncos. Dolphins at Patriots.
Man. The
Dolphins.
Did the Dolphins lose last week? I'm trying to remember. I think they won, didn't they?
Yeah.
I think the Dolphins are for real. I think they're going to be a playoff team more than likely. I'm going to go Dolphins.
All right. Me too. Saints at Panthers.
Saints at Panthers. I'm going to go Saints. I'm going to go Saints on this one, actually.
I'm going Saints here. Yep, I agree with that. And then last but not least, your Cleveland Browns at the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Browns, obviously.
Browns, for sure.
So, Allie, if I looked at this, the only game that we have to watch is the Bucks-Bears game, right? I think it's the only one we picked differently.
Bucks, Bears, and...
No, you went Chiefs. You went Chiefs.
Yeah, Chiefs, Jags, Bucks, and Bears. Yes, that's it.
2 games right there. It's 2 games.
Yep. Dustin, real quick, before we wrap, why don't you tell our listeners about HotWorks, what they can find there?
So HotWorks, guys, if you haven't gone in, go in, drop a comment here if you'd like to go in. We are going to give away for you and a friend to go in this month and every month to go check out their locations in Avon or their new location in Rocky River or in Strongsville. Just let us know if you want to go in and try them out. It's free for a month, no membership fee, none of that. Just drop a comment. We'll get you a membership. We'll get you signed up. Allie and I both try it out. We love it. And it's an amazing workout. It's twice the workout in half the time.
It's as easy as that. You just drop a comment and you head on in with a membership. Pretty easy. Dustin, any closing thoughts as we wrap up on a beautiful Wednesday evening?
Well, let's see. Do I have any closing thoughts on a Wednesday evening? We do have, I haven't told Allie this, but we have a special guest coming next week. She doesn't know this yet, but I'll just give you guys a hint. It is a former Browns, but he is a Hall of Famer, and he will be on the show next week. So there's your hint, guys. If you've been watching to the end of the show, we will have a Hall of Famer. And the second hint will be that he's never been on the Here We Go Brownies show. So there's 2 hints for you. Browns Hall of Famer and someone that's never been on the show. So look forward to that next week. It'll be a great interview and some great insight. But Allie, I did want to tell people about Monday. We will be doing a pregame show, not a postgame show. And we have some fun stuff planned for that that we'll tell you about from possibly live from Pittsburgh, from the Pukesburg city. We might have some fun stuff to tell you about live from that city for a pregame. So look for that time and when that show will kick off because Allie and Dustin don't want to stay up till midnight doing a podcast. So we're going to do a pregame.
Yeah, we're not doing that. Yeah, guys, anytime that there is a late kick, we more likely than not will be doing pregame shows. But anytime it's a 1 p.m., you'll find us directly after the show. So just to kind of set that precedent, that's how we've done it in years past. We plan to continue to do that. But look, I think we've got a good matchup. I'm excited. Yeah, go ahead.
And I say, Allie, why don't you tell people about YouTube and how they can find us not only on Facebook now, but other channels now with our show.
Yeah, we are streaming on YouTube. So if you go on over there, type in the Here We Go Brownies podcast, pop right up. You can watch us live there as well. So look forward to that on every Wednesday night show, as well as pre and post games. You'll be able to find it there and wherever you get your podcast. But with that, guys, we're going to go ahead and wrap up. We've got a good matchup on Monday, a lot to be excited about. So catch us Monday pregame for our pregame show and keys to a victory, bold predictions, all that fun stuff. We'll do it then. So stay tuned. Thanks for joining, everybody. We appreciate you. Stay safe, stay healthy, and as always, Browns fans, go Browns.